Broadcasting from somewhere beneath the New York Public Library, it's Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here. Hello to everyone listening. Welcome to our Spooky Ghost Podcast. I'm Brian, here as always with my handsome, tenacious colleague, Eric. What's going on, man?
What's up, Brian? I'm really excited.
Dude, I'm so excited. This is gonna be a weird one.
I think it's gonna be super weird.
Eric, this past weekend we went to the Amityville Horror House, which is on your turf.
Yeah, that's in my turf. By the way, I meant to tell you in some of my researches for the next episode, I don't know if we stumbled on this group in the last incarnation of our show, but I found the Long Island Paranormal Institute.
Oh fuck.
Which is just a group. Is it the Institute? It's either Institute or Investigation something, but it's the Long Island group of paranormal investigators. They've got a whole page of haunted locations in and around Long Island. It's incredible. It's a goal.
I can't believe it's going to be Brian and Eric do belong hunting ghosts on Long Island.
Yeah, we do. Maybe that's the only place we belong.
Truly.
Yeah.
But this, well, maybe not based on some weird things happened this week or this past weekend. We'll have to get into it.
I'm really excited to hear about this.
It's okay. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into Amityville, because I'm just going to pretty much play that whole tape raw on this. We got it easy this week, man. This week's already recorded. Now we're just fucking jabbing gums at each other.
Yeah, we're right now.
But so real fast, before we get into that, got to deal with some breaking news in the paranormal realm, my friend. It's news from the weird.
News from the weird.
News from the weird. We'll get there on the theme song. We're just jamming right now.
A sick metal riff. And
that's it.
Crack that right in, but not today.
Okay, Eric. Do you know much about this? Let's see. What's it called? The Sessho-seki or the Killing Rock?
Here's what I know. I know that in Japanese folklore, there's a lot of very fun and scary monsters, like a whole mess. I know there's one monster that's just a giant wall that just pops up in your path and then eats you, and they give you like impossible riddles, and whatever the answer is, they eat your face kind of deal.
Yeah, a lot of that. Well, this Sessho-seki or Killing Rock. So there's this rock near the volcanic mountains in Naso, Japan. Okay. It's a national landmark. It's a big deal. And like I said, it's called the Killing Rock, and it allegedly, according to folklore, kills everyone who comes in contact with it.
That's a piece of shit. That's a real son of a gun.
That rock sucks. Get rid of that rock.
Yeah. I always hated science.
Hey, don't leave an evil rock lying around.
Yeah, so be like the other rocks. Just hang out. Just chill. Just do nothing. The worst a rock does is it's an avalanche, and that's a real once-in-a-blue moon kind of situation. It's not an everyday thing.
So here's the thing about this rock also. On top of being a murder rock, an evil murder rock. This rock is...
favorite phrase I've ever heard you say is, here's the thing about this rock. Let's just get into it with the rock a little bit.
So the rock is said to imprison a demon.
Okay.
A nine-tailed fox who could transform into a beautiful woman. Now, she apparently tried to kill Emperor Kano in the year 1100 and take his throne.
Hang on, I feel like every Sonic the Hedgehog fan fiction, like hentai artist, is just scribbling madly right now. So let's just give him a second to catch up. Yeah, the demon is a nine-tailed fox inside of a rock, you little freaks.
You got all that?
Yeah,
you got all that?
Exactly. Okay.
Okay. So, the famous warrior Mironusuke apparently killed the demon and imprisoned her there in this rock, and she gets her vengeance, obviously, by killing anyone who touches the rock. It's, like I said, it's a national landmark, big piece of folklore. You can find it on this, like, mountain trail. There's, like, a rope around it with, like, looked like feather totem type of things.
Okay.
Very, you know.
I like how it's an actual thing you can go see.
It's an actual thing. Well, it's an actual thing you could go see, my friend.
Okay.
Because social media has been alight. Someone was walking by the path and saw the rock has split open.
Oh, no. That's bad. Did this happen on the day that we went to Amityville by any chance?
That becomes my question. I'm not sure.
Imagine we are just. Here's what I hope happens. I hope there's a band of grizzled adventurers relentlessly tracking us down as we haplessly just fulfill every sign of a dark ancient omen.
And the two fools will
exactly stumble into the house of the Amityville. The cursed rock shall crack. No.
But the harder we fight, the more we accidentally keep stumbling into the prophecy.
Exactly.
And fulfilling
sure. It explains everything.
Right. Honestly, explains everything.
Every question I have.
The mismanaged comedy website will fall.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Maybe not me.
Oh boy.
That's something. Snopes, where I've gotten a lot of this from. Snopes cannot confirm the evil Japanese fox spirit, but
never can. That's really where the reporting falls apart.
Yeah, but can confirm the rock has split. Local authorities have commented about it. This is directly from Snopes. According to the Nassau Town Tourist Information Center, on the afternoon of the 5th, tourists posted a photo of Seshoseki cracking on SNS, and the officials in the association confirmed it locally. The stone may have been cracked for some time, and the soaked water may have cracked due to freezing.
I don't buy that.
Yeah, a demon.
Yeah, clearly a demon.
A volunteer for the Masahiro Sugawara, 83, chairman of the Nasu Kogen Yumoto Guide Club, a volunteer organization that provides tourist information in the surrounding area, said it's natural, so it can't be helped, but it's a shame because it's a symbol of the local area. So I mean, this town also lost their cool thing,
their cool haunted rock,
and now there's a demon lost, out there,
they're just around,
just fulfilling the prophecy.
Great day for the demon, though. Gotta say,
good for the demon, though.
1,000 years trapped in that rock for a millennia. Brian, you're trapped in a rock for millennia. Suddenly, it cracks open due to unforeseen causes. What's the first thing you do?
Can I tell you what my head went to? I don't know if it'd be my answer. I'd have 1,000 years to think about it.
Sure.
I'm not saying this is what I would do. My head immediately went to the answer is masturbate, right?
I think so. Though theoretically, you're in the rock. That's on the table. I don't know if you're.
I'm sick. I've been sick of it for 500 years. Yeah. God, I don't know.
Interesting.
I regret going down this hole. Oh no, it's also part of the prophecy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the fool will regret his joke.
Yes, masturbation confession. Just a Deckard Cain character somewhere. Stay a while and listen to this podcast by two idiots.
I think the world at large has largely said no.
Yeah. No,
but that's news from the weird. I guess we'll get updates on that, right?
Yeah, we got to track that. Put that on the tracker. We'll put that on the tracker.
How do you think, could we contact who in the Japanese government do we have to contact to commission us to capture this demon and get it back into a new rock?
The question is who are the enemies of the Japanese government? Because they might hire us to go to Japan to try to bungle this whole thing. You know what I mean? We might have to play and kind of do a little geopolitical. It's called 4D chess, Brian. We're playing the enemy of our friend is our friend.
That's it.
That's how that works, I think.
That's how that works. That makes complete sense. And that's welcome to our geopolitical podcast that also involves nine-tailed fox demons that have escaped. Eric.
Send us your fan fiction.
Eric, we went to the Amityville Horror House.
We did.
We went around midnight.
Yeah.
On Friday night. It was me. It was you. It was your girlfriend Jamie, who was wonderful.
She's real sport.
And incredibly, thank God she was there because I think she was the only one with any actual useful information.
That's right.
But now I won't say, so first off, if this is your first time listening, the audio is rough-ish. It's we're still learning how to maybe do these field trip episodes. And I gave it my best shot, and I've done what I could to fix it. But you know, so if this is your first time listening, hey, maybe go back and listen to our last episode with Tess Feifel. The audio is pretty sound on that one, and Tess is wonderful.
That's great audio. I think I like to say it gives it character. We're on the road, and we take your ears right there with us.
It's got character, I'll say that. And also, I don't know how to work my little digital recorder well.
Well, that's okay. I don't know how to work it at all, so.
There we go. I think it's all right. But I'll throw out there, the intention was not to do this little intro.
Sure.
But we just cut that out, and we'll catch up in media res. That said, while most of it is normal, we talk about the Amityville Horror and kind of everything that led up to that as we reach the house. Something weird happened. Something weird happened there, and then some weird stuff happened after. Yeah. And I guess we'll talk about that after. We'll catch you back here after that. But I guess we'll cut to Brian, Eric, and Jamie on the road.
Cruising.
So we're on the road right now. We're heading to Long Island to visit the Amityville Horror House.
That's right, baby. We've got great sandwiches and one haunted house.
That's the dream.
And a beach.
That's the road trip dream.
Yeah.
Or that's the Long Island dream.
That's right.
I don't think I've had a Long Island sandwich.
Oh man, it's not too late. We'll find a diner.
All right. That sounds like the move. I guess we have to get into like what exactly this is, because I do have a question for you, Eric. But the story of George and Kathleen Lutz, who purchased this house on 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, Long Island. There's a media blitz. There's a best-selling book. There is a movie franchise that for a little bit was just printing money. Countless accusations of a hoax. Basically, what leads to what has to be the most famous haunted house in American history. Is that
sure?
Does that, or at least in modern American history?
I guess. I mean, probably the most movies have been made about this place.
It's also, I think, probably certainly the most documented.
Yes. Can I just say really quickly? We just passed a cop pulling over someone, and my greatest fear at this point is that we will be stopped by a police officer, and we'll have to explain what we're doing.
I've worked on things before where I've been in that situation. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't make me less hesitant about it.
I feel like a hard-boiled Long Island cop.
I once got talked to by the police as what I can only describe as was bothering some people in a castle.
Sure. Oh, was this Grimghoul?
This was Grimghoul. We won't get into that.
Sure.
Another time. So Eric, you're from Long Island. You grew up in Long Island?
Yeah, born and raised, baby.
Strong?
It's actually pronounced Strong Island.
Of course. My mistake.
Yeah.
Does the Amityville house have any sort of looming presence? Do you know much about it? Did you grow up being particularly aware of it?
I'll tell you this: a lot of kids would get high and go drive to it back in the day. I mean, we definitely know about it. I was telling you before, I saw the original Amityville Horror movie after a swim meet as a very young, scared boy. Scared the Speedo right off me. It's a spooky movie. The original one's a good movie.
It's a spooky movie.
Very scary. When I realized, I mean, what made the movie special to me as a child was my parents kind of hyped it up, and they're like, "Yeah, this happened on Long Island, not too far from where we are now." That kind of situation. But that's sort of where it starts and ends.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Jamie, do you know much about it?
I No clue.
No clue? Oh, that's
Nothing.
so exciting.
I've only ever heard of the name, but that's about it.
Okay, no movie, haven't read the book.
Nothing.
Got it. Okay, well, you're going to be an expert on it by the end of this hour, or by the end of this adventure.
Oh, yeah.
This is, boy, this is going to be exciting. So what's notable about this haunted house, what strikes me, especially with all the hoax accusations, is the Lutz family, they move into this house. Once again, it's on 112 Ocean Avenue. They move into this house. They're gone 28 days later.
That's fast.
28 days later, they bail,
That's pretty
leaving
quick.
literally their possessions behind. They don't go back for them. They have never been in the house again.
Yeah.
So like something went. I don't know if it was ghosts, but something fucking went down, and they bailed on that house.
Wow. That's fast, man. Especially if you buy a new house, you move in, and you're gone within a month.
Yeah,
That's legit.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's so our story though does not begin with George and Kathleen Lutz. I'm currently a mess of wires, a clipboard, and a flashlight.
This is perfect.
This is just.
Do you want the? We could turn this light on.
I don't. You know,
Is that too easy?
No, I'm game for it. I don't
Okay.
want a generation of growing up of dads screaming about the light being on.
You know what's really funny about that? I've noticed that too as an adult. It's fine. I could drive just fine. I think we cracked the. This is the great lie of parents that the light being on screws up the driving.
Why
Not
does that
hard.
bother so many dads?
I don't know. Dads hate the light on in the
Dads
car.
hate the light on.
Leave the lights off.
You know what my mom actually told us when we were little?
What's that?
That it was illegal, and a cop would pull us over.
That's what I'm worried about too.
Well, I said we roll.
Why
I
would
really
it
don't
be
think
though?
that's true
Let's roll the
at all.
dice.
I don't think it is either.
Why?
'Cause
Yeah.
would it be?
How could it be? We're not hurting anybody. We're just reading a ghost script.
Then why would they put the damn light in the car?
Exactly. Take the light out of the car if you don't want people to use it.
Okay, so Eric, do you know much about the DeFeos? I know you had the stop and start, but this is a very famous murder that happened not that far from
I'll
you.
tell you what, that's a great Long Island name. The DeFeo family.
DeFeo, baby.
I feel like I went to high school with some DeFeos. Bad kids, all of them.
Well,
He got kicked off the baseball team. Doing snuff in the bleachers.
so November 13th, 1974, 3:15 a.m. Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot every single member of his family. Mother,
Holy
father,
moly.
4 siblings in
Wow.
their beds with a .35 caliber rifle.
That's a lot of marinara sauce.
Oh my God.
It's
Very inappropriate. I'd like to apologize to the Italian American community of Long Island. Hang on. So what year was this?
1974.
1974. Okay.
So Ronald DeFeo was watching TV, I believe, in the basement.
Okay.
He was watching a war movie. Believes he heard his family whispering outside the room, conspiring to kill him.
Jesus.
He then talks about a hooded figure with black hands handing him the rifle.
Yikes.
He would later claim in court, "The devil made me do it." Now, there's a couple of wrinkles in the case at first, a couple of extended theories. Someone could surely do an entire true crime podcast on it, and I'm sure have, and never get into the Lutz family or the actual Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
But there is a weird thing that's worth noting, and this is undisputed that this is true.
Okay.
The murders happen over the course of 15 minutes. They start at 3:15 a.m. They're over by 3:30 a.m.
Very spooky time.
Very spooky time. 7 loud shots are fired from a rifle as DeFeo moves from room to room of the house, shooting his family. One for the mother, one for the father. He's moving from bedroom to bedroom. Every single member of the family were found in their beds.
Wow. Nobody got up.
7 blasts from a shotgun.
And nobody got up.
No one
to
got up.
investigate.
Nobody got out of bed.
That's very strange.
According to the autopsy, nobody was drugged. Nobody was moved from where they were killed.
Yeah.
And police say you should have been able to hear that kind of rifle firing for 5 blocks. The only thing neighbors reported hearing is the dog barking.
Wow.
Fucking weird, dude.
That's very strange.
That's just straight up weird.
Yeah. It's really weird that nobody got up out of bed.
That's it. Yeah, they were all found lying on their stomachs in their beds.
And you said that no drugs, there was nothing.
No drugs, no one was moved, apparently.
And no one was bound or anything.
Nope. There are some theories that maybe he didn't act alone, but that still doesn't quite answer it for me.
And it still doesn't explain why no neighbors heard it. There was no...
Right. I did hear from I watched a fucking thing. where
our source, Netflix.
A parapsychologist talked about how in sort of psychic manifestations, things like sound can be manipulated. There is evidence of that. Everything else this guy said was kind of insane and maybe a little racist to the Native American community on Long Island.
Sure.
But that was an interesting thing that I know.
How did the Native Americans get tied in here?
There's a whole thing about
it being what, a Native American burial ground?
A burial ground. And, it's just kind of that same old stuff that I don't think is even worth getting too into.
Sure.
Mostly because especially, like, the actual historical societies, like, there's no evidence of any of that.
Gotcha. So it's not actually likely to be on any kind of burial ground at all.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, that is just stories and that kind of thing that came up a lot in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. That actually might be a fun episode to investigate that trope and that cliche of like the disturbed indigenous burial ground.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's that's what I'd probably want to find an expert on.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You mean not YouTube? Because I know some channels, Brian. I like to do my own research.
As you do.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's the DeFeo murders. Pretty shocking to the community.
Okay. I'm getting kind of Son of Sam vibes from that.
I don't know a lot about Son of Sam.
So Son of Sam was the whole deal with Son of Sam is he was a serial killer, not to derail us, but he was a serial killer in Queens, New York. And it was a similar devil made me do it thing. And he had a whole convoluted explanation for this demon and a dog that were giving him messages to kill people. Anyway,
okay, right. I am vaguely familiar with that.
Okay. So DeFeo's kind of the DeFeo murders are kind of the foundation.
They're an important piece of the story.
Okay.
Nobody was, based on some stuff that I saw, nobody was like, they were kind of a troubled family. Dad maybe was abusive.
Sure.
And Ronald had like history run-ins with drugs and the law and stuff. And like they were talking, I saw an interview with one neighbor who was like, the second he heard what had happened, he was like, "Oh, Ronnie did it." So like it was, but still like a pretty shocking thing to happen in a upper middle class community.
Yeah.
So just over a year later, in 1975, for a bargain price of $80,000, George and Kathleen Lutz buy the house. They're newlyweds. It's both of their second marriages. Kathleen has, I believe, 3 kids from her previous marriage. Yes. But the couple's they both had their own houses, but couple is excited to start fresh together in a new home. The house is beautiful too. 5 bedrooms, gambrel roof. It's on the water. There's a boathouse. There's a swimming pool.
I love it.
And for like $80,000, that's a steal.
Yeah, you're actually going to see, I mean, we're getting close now, but Amityville and this South Shore of Long Island, there's actually a lot of really beautiful parts of it.
Yeah. It's the only way the Lutzes were able to buy this house was basically because it had a horrible violent history that nobody really wanted to kind of be a part of.
That's an interesting aspect of residential real estate, and the laws surround. I believe it's actually you're required by law to disclose if there's been a murder or a suicide in a home that you're selling.
And the story goes, the real estate agent like really, really waited until they saw this giant, beautiful home, fell in love with it, and then was like, By the way,
Yeah, I feel like you don't typically lead with a cult ritual murder. It's like
yeah, I mean,
2 bedrooms, a black hooded figure will hand you a silent rifle in the night. There's a whirlpool in the back.
did you see the roof?
Yeah. It's gabled.
So, a friend of George's learns the history of the house and recommends they get a blessing from a priest.
It's never a bad idea.
Now, you know, is that a thing? I feel like I've only seen it in the Amityville Horror. Is getting your house blessed a thing?
I think it actually used to. So I was in the highlands of Ecuador at one point visiting a friend.
You have an incredible life story. I just feel like I learned some crazy thing about you. I was like, I was in Ecuador for a bit. Like, what?
I'm a disaster. But that was just when you built the house. Like if your family built a house, like that was just, it wasn't finished until the priest came and it wasn't even like an exorcism thing. It's just like, yeah, the house is built, you bless it.
Got it. Interesting. So George and Kathy, they're non-practicing, but they agree. Why not?
Sure, can't hurt.
Spooky murder house. Like, let's
throw some water around.
Exactly. So Father Ralph Pecoraro.
Yeah.
They know him as Father Ray. His name is changed in like every single iteration of the. It's different in the book. It's different from that in the movie. But his actual, real life, God-given name is Ralph Pecoraro. They call him Father Ray.
Got it.
He's a Catholic priest and a psychotherapist.
I kind of want to call him Pauly Parmesan.
This one's gonna get us canceled. The Long Island Italian American community.
Absolutely. They're already on my tail. I'm a German-Irish kid from the North Shore. I'm not welcome here.
Let's see. So Father Ray arrives to perform the rites as the Lutzes unpack.
Okay.
He reports. So they're unpacking. He goes up the stairs to the second floor bedroom.
Okay.
What will later be revealed, I believe, as the bedroom of the 2 young sons of the DeFeos. So he reports hearing a masculine voice definitively telling him, "Get out."
Woo. That just gave me chills a little bit. I don't like that.
It's spooky.
Yeah.
It's spooky. Jamie, how you doing? What are you thinking so far?
I want to go home.
You know what? Too bad. We're going to the house.
Yeah. Where is this documented?
The big thing is the book.
Okay.
We'll get into kind of the veracity of those statements.
Sure.
Or the veracity of the things.
Okay.
And Pecoraro has talked about it.
Okay. All right. So the priest himself has kind of confirmed this.
And there's been some, basically over the years, people have wishy-washy gone back and forth. Sometimes it was like, I don't know about that. And then sometimes they're back on it.
Yeah. Okay.
But he has stated that. It's also a little weird getting him, like, he was, like, the names have been changed over the years. The only interview I can actually find with him, his face is, like, blurred, even though we have his name.
Got it.
But he's told by a masculine voice, "Get out."
Yeah.
He also reports he turned around and felt a hard slap across his face.
Ooh.
He does not mention this to Kathy and George. But he does call them later and suggest no one sleep in that room. He has a bad feeling about it.
Wow. Okay.
Kathy ends up turning that into a sewing room, or I believe was planning to anyway.
Okay.
Let's see. Father Ray ends up developing a high fever and blisters on his hands.
Whoa.
Which, yeah, dude.
Very weird.
Very weird. Later, just in case we, later, the Lutzes will try to get in touch with Father Ray several times by phone. Yeah. Father Ray will try to get in touch with the Lutzes. The phone will break up whenever they speak to one another.
I feel like he kind of did. I'm not an exorcist. I'm certainly not a priest. I feel like if you're a priest and you're there to cleanse a house and you go into a room and a scary voice says, "Get out," I feel like your move is not to just be like, didn't see anything. Maybe don't sleep. Like, shouldn't you double down with some kind of, like, shouldn't you concentrate your efforts?
Job.
Yeah.
It is interesting, though, and notable. He's also a psychotherapist. He's got a secular education.
Sure.
There has to be an element of, like, that didn't happen. Or something like, I imagine that on some level. Because, like, that's... demonic entities and spirits is not even commonplace in the Catholic Church.
Sure.
Not even all Catholic priests necessarily like believe in that in that full capacity. At least that's my guess. But yeah, I don't know if if it's that clear you hear it. Maybe
do something. I mean, that's what you're there for.
like
so why you're there? Yeah. Yep, the tax appraisal checks out. Did you check any demons? Oh, fuck. No, I didn't see any. That's fine. We're good. Don't sleep in the weird room with the blood on the walls. That's my advice to you.
Are we in Amityville now?
No. I took like 4 wrong turns because your story was so riveting. So we're about 15 minutes away from Amityville.
Great. I'm ruffling with paper right now. I'm sure my mic is picking up every fucking moment of it. But you know what? It is what it is.
You know why? Because we're on the trail.
We're on the trail.
We got gum in our shoes and dreams in our hearts.
We're out of the library, baby.
Yeah, we're out.
Brian and Eric in the world.
Yeah.
Brian and Eric and Jamie on an adventure.
My agoraphobia is acting up bad.
We don't leave the library.
Yeah. I don't like not being enclosed by books in all directions.
So we have, so I'm just going to go over a whole bunch of the spooky things that happen in the house over the next, it's like I said, it's not a very long timeline. We talked about the haunting in Connecticut recently.
Right.
That was over the course of 2 years.
Yes.
They're out, the Lutzes are out of the house 28 days later.
Wow.
So I don't know quite the order in which some of these things happen. I'm just going to go over them.
Yeah.
Cold spots. Aggressive cold spots throughout the house. Now, granted, it's December. It's around Christmas. It is probably starting to get cold, but they note even that doesn't quite make sense. The priest also mentioned, like the room, that second floor bedroom, was colder. It was actually like a nice day, and the temperature just dropped when he stepped into that room.
Interesting.
I don't know, but that is a very common ghost thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Something about, like, energy, like ghosts, spirits, they consume energy in a space, leaving behind essentially only cold air is how I understand it.
Yeah, Jamie, I feel like, Jamie, you know a little bit about this. What's the deal with spiritual activity and cold?
It's exactly what Brian said right now, and it's
I'm so smart.
and it's not necessarily that the space is cold, is that your energy senses that there's something else in there, and you get the feeling of goosebumps or like the hairs at the back of your neck raising, and that you naturally attributed to you feel cold, but it's not actual cold. It's just that like sensory feeling.
Huh.
Interesting. Let's see. We got flies in winter.
Oh wow!
Especially in that second bedroom. And George Lutz says they got worse over the course of the time they were there. Just if they weren't there when they looked at the house, but while they were living in the house, swarms and swarms of flies. There's a famous scene in the movie where the priest is attacked by a swarm of flies, which did not happen in reality. But yeah. Now, I've also read that, there were some pretty grisly murders in the house that were sat there for like 48 hours. And then the house was pretty much sealed up until the Lutzes came in. Yeah,
sure.
It could make sense.
Yeah,
that you
it could have some flies. Imagine being that real estate agent and they're just like, why do you have 4 scarves and netting all over you? Oh, no, it's yeah.
Hey, the roof!
Yeah, exactly. That gabled roof, baby. You see that thing?
You see? That's what we're talking about, $80,000, baby.
And you're covered in blisters. $80K.
Let's see here. George is going through some very distinct personality changes. He begins feeling ill, undergoes let's see, he starts becoming very short-tempered and angry more frequently, and he gets very frustrated. He's never able to get warm in the house. Kathleen talks about him just being absolutely obsessed with building fires. He's always out chopping firewood, always worried we don't have enough firewood, I'm gonna fucking freeze.
Whoa.
And he's getting really, really frustrated that no one else seems to be having the problem.
Huh.
So that's spooky.
I'd like to add to our unified theory of the paranormal and the occult that most hauntings, at the heart of them, are just dads with dad problems.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to put on a sweater? We're just me? All right.
Dads are the source of
work all day. Yeah.
All ghosts are just a bunch of pissed off dads.
It's just a Scooby-Doo scenario every time.
Oh, that's it, baby.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Which one next? There's a lot of good stuff. Okay. This one's famous in the movie, too. This one's always a good one. For a good scare after you watch the movie, if it happens to you.
Sure.
George continuously wakes up at 3:15 a.m., the time of the murder.
Yeah.
He also reports hearing. We've heard this before, also in the haunting in Connecticut. Wakes up to essentially the sound of a marching band in his living room.
That's kind of fun. That's a little
you know,
fun.
Hey, that's
of all the sounds.
Ghosts are a little playful.
Yeah. Wait, really quick, Jamie. What is the significance of 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m.? I feel like that comes up a lot.
That's the witching hour. It's when the veil of the spirits is at its thinnest.
Okay.
So it's when
Oh, boy.
stuff from the other side starts crossing over the easiest.
Boy, howdy.
Okay.
So it's very curious that the murder was around that time.
Right, especially with its link of a hooded figure handing him the rifle.
Yeah.
Kathy has dreams about the Defoe murders. She reportedly knew the order in which they had been killed and where they had been shot, which had not been publicized.
Okay, I was going to ask, do we know if the Lutzes are sort of from the area, would have known about the murder? How much would they know?
So that apparently was not publicized. They will find out later when we'll talk about a character named Weber later, who will come into the story. He's the one who was when she told him about that, was oh shit.
To me, that's always the most compelling sort of evidence is knowledge that people shouldn't have access to. In exorcisms, that's one of the criteria, I think, being able to speak a language that you should have no knowledge of.
Right.
Or have knowledge that you should not have any way of possessing, basically.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We're driving down just a classic fucking just middle of town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is just a Long Island strip mall paradise.
I feel like every American just not interstate, what's the word I'm looking for? Turnpike just looks like this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in Anywhere USA right now.
That's it, baby. Let's see, we did that. Okay, all right, we gotta talk about Jody. Missy, the youngest daughter, has an imaginary friend named Jody. Missy is also having information, is also telling Missy has now information that she should not have, and her imaginary friend Jody is telling them to her. Jody is a pig.
Hate all that.
Jody is a pig who wants Missy to live in the house forever.
Don't like that.
Also, the information about the murders that Missy just knows.
I'll tell you what, if I ever have a child and that child has an imaginary friend, they're both sleeping in the yard. You're not in the house anymore. No thanks.
Just no, not until you clear that up.
Yeah, exactly. You work on that in the yard.
George Less has also talked about walking past the bedroom, seeing Missy on the bed. a rocking chair nearby rocking.
Hate it. Okay.
The spookiest thing there, this is depicted in a different way in the movie.
Can we just agree that rocking chairs are the spookiest
Get
chairs?
rid of rocking chairs.
Don't need rocking
That's
chairs.
just built to be spooky.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's their whole deal.
Don't give ghosts a chance to fuck with your stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Be proactive.
I'm going to bolt all of my furniture to the floor as soon as I get home.
So George one night is coming back from the boathouse, back up to the house, can see up into Missy's bedroom, sees a pig staring back down at him. Ooh. He races upstairs. Nothing. Nobody.
Yeah.
He will also see pig eyes from outside. That's really what's depicted in the movie.
Wow.
And it's pretty spooky.
Wow.
Scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Sure.
Okay. The Lutz family describe the 28th day in the house as too frightening and have kind of refused to recount it.
Huh.
That's the day they just left. George Lutz says that's why the book exists, so that we don't have to fucking keep talking about it.
Wow.
So they've refused to go into any more detail on it. They fled to Kathy's mother's house and have never returned to the house, not even for their belongings. They were just returned it to the bank. All of their stuff was auctioned off.
Don't want it, don't care.
The only thing they sent back for, reportedly, was an old chest that George's father had made that had a bunch of baby pictures in them. That was it.
Wow. That is crazy. I will say that it's very satisfying, because I feel like in every horror movie, I'm always like, just leave.
Right.
Just get out. Go. You can live anywhere.
That is the thing. They just leave.
Yeah, they do it. They do the wise thing.
We've talked about the haunting in Connecticut before, and they lived there for 2 years. And I forgot to mention on the show, but if you listen to that one, we talked about it is hard to pick up and leave. They had a different house. Yeah. They had a house back in New York.
Right.
They were only renting this one to be closer to the hospital.
Yeah. Commute.
Maybe go back to commuting when you're being assaulted by spirits.
Yeah. So, wow, that is crazy. I remember in the movie, this is my vague recollection, there was sort of this insinuation that I think the dad was being tempted to murder the family or something.
There's I don't think it ever went that far in reality.
Yeah.
But there were certainly, the movie definitely plays to you will be the next DeFeo.
Got it.
Even in the movie, and in the book a bit, George goes to the bar that Ronnie DeFeo frequented. And
so kind of almost like a Shining situation.
It's very The Shining.
Gotcha.
The bartender even goes Jesus Christ, you look just like him.
Ooh, don't like to hear that.
So now we got to get into the investigation.
Okay.
So the Lutzes are gone. George Lutz reaches out to a guy named Kaplan. I can't find his first. Ooh, we're turning down a spooky lane now.
Yeah, we are.
It's just after midnight now. George Lutz reaches out to a guy named Kaplan. I couldn't find his first name. He's a local paranormal researcher. He agrees to investigate the house, but George gets cold feet after Kaplan starts talking to the press. George kind of doesn't want that, which doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Considering part of what makes this whole thing interesting is the amount of press.
Right.
So, what else should we get to here? Okay. The Lutzes end up linked up with Peter Weber, a lawyer who was Ronnie DeFeo's defense attorney. And he was currently in the process of trying to get a book and movie deal happening based on the DeFeo case.
Okay.
And that kind of creeps the Lutzes out. And they end up parting ways with him as well. And they end up in a pretty prolonged legal battle. Of Weber just being like, hey, this is my story. I was trying to sell this story.
Gotcha.
So that's the big discredit. Weber is one of the guys of we came up with this story over a bunch of bottles of wine.
Uh-huh.
And Lutz is no, we ditched you.
Gotcha.
Kind of just believe what you want to believe there, I suppose.
Hang on, what's the address?
Let's see. We're going to 108 Ocean Avenue.
Okay, that's 120.
Oh, so that's it. Holy shit, that's it.
This is it right here?
That's it. That's the house, man.
That's 108?
That's 108. I know that's it.
Whoa. That's crazy. I want to be chill. Just
yeah, this is somebody's house. How about you go back around the long way and we'll spin back around?
Yeah, it's a very quiet street, so it's quite obvious.
Right,
like,
we can't just park.
Yeah, exactly. These are actually lovely. It's a lovely neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a beautiful neighborhood. Yeah, you want to just keep doing laps around it for a little bit?
Sure, I would love to.
So the address I didn't mean to say the address, but like you can find it.
Yeah, it's pretty Googleable.
It was changed in like the 80s. The iconic windows also changed.
Yes.
Which, I'm sad about. I think, like, I understand wanting some privacy, but you bought the Amityville Horror house, you know?
I do. I sort of wish it was scooped up by some, like, weird old kook who's like has $1 million and is super into that story.
Right.
And just preserved it exactly.
Right.
You know?
Like it belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
It's an incredible piece of American folklore, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Here's a question before we get back into because we're only halfway done with this story.
Sure.
An Airbnb listing goes up for the Amityville Horror House. Would you stay in it? Jamie's a fuck no.
I don't know. Not alone. Definitely not alone. If I could go with
I don't think I'd stay in any house alone.
Yeah,
any strange house alone.
True.
I'm a very scaredy boy.
If I could go with like a crew, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, I'll put it's you and me. And I'm gonna be a monster. I'm going to do my idiot thing. I'm going to have the ghost box.
Oh, you're going to be going hard. Yeah, you're going to be kicking all the hornets' nests. I think I would do it.
I think
just
to say.
So is it this house just straight ahead? Or the one to the left?
It's the one slightly to the left. It has the, you can see if you look up on the third floor there, you can see where the iconic windows were.
Yeah. Oh, and they look like they've been, you can kind of see that the new ones don't quite fit.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. I would take that house for $80K. That's a beautiful house.
It's a beautiful house.
And the water is right behind here, too.
Yep. It's the structure just down kind of the long driveway there is the boathouse. I will say it's interesting. The house in the movie is, of course, not that house.
Right.
You want to go down? You want to take a right down here and just see if we can get the water?
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Is not like the house in the movie like has this more imposing like solitary vibe. This is just in the middle of like a beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a very, very nice upper middle class neighborhood right on the water. All these houses are gorgeous.
So like, man, you can kind of see probably in the 70s and 80s people getting annoyed that a bunch of tourists were coming in like, tell us about the ghosts.
Yeah, ruining their nice.
Okay, we're passing like a beautiful like gazebo here.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if we can get down to the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Basically what these are, Brian, is they're sort of these canals kind of that they've built extended into the neighborhoods. Yeah, so you could see. So here's the water.
Yeah,
right here.
Wow.
And that goes out to the ocean.
Got it. It's really, really beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
So somewhere around here, passing a sign, I believe, for Amityville. Maybe not. Around here, I believe, is where they found the gun.
Oh,
that DeFeo used. Okay, so I'm going to get back into the story, if that's cool.
Yeah, of course, please.
Until something interesting comes up. So a local TV journalist, her name is Laura Didio, takes interest in the story and brings in, of course, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Got to.
Let's see. There are, of course, our favorite paranormal investigators. We've talked about the Warrens plenty of times. They are self-proclaimed demonologists and experts in this type of stuff. I'm presuming they have enough media presence that this local television journalist is like, let's bring them in. Let's do a segment of them investigating the house.
Yeah.
Didio, it's worth noting, stresses nothing happened to her in the house. She has not seen anything herself.
Okay.
But the cameraman, when he came into the house, he goes up the stairs. When he reaches the next landing, starts having stabbing chest pains, bowled over.
Terrifying.
And let's see. The Warrens bring their whole crew, their whole team, a couple of psychics. They perform a seance. And Lorraine Warren, who's of course allegedly a very powerful clairvoyant, senses a very deeply evil presence in the house, not just human spirits. She says, I could see the bodies lined up and covered in white sheets. She would tell a colleague later, I hope this is the closest to hell that I ever get. Mary Downey, another psychic present for the investigation, says, I could see hooded figures like monks right outside the door looking at me.
Don't like that.
Let's see. She also reports sprinkling holy water to protect herself. It hits the table and sizzles like it's on a hot stove.
Whoa.
I will say, there was a camera crew there. We do not have footage of this.
Okay.
Didio says that while Ed Warren was walking around the house, he stopped going down the stairs and was thrown back by a by a gust of wind. He would describe it as being assailed by a legion of demons.
I see. I don't want to undercut Ed Warren, but I do really like the image of just Ed Warren going into a house and just throwing himself. Oh,
son of a assailed by
demons! Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's why I did
a real Three Stooges act, just solo.
It's seeing the footage we've seen of Ed. I can just imagine, like, oh, did you feel the demons?
Yeah. Just throwing banana peels on the floor and slipping on them.
Okay.
Wow.
The Warrens team set up like a motion camera. I don't quite know how the technology works in the 70s, but this is very common, like ghost hunting.
Yeah.
Thing, like picking up motion throughout the house.
Okay.
The camera goes off while they're there, and the picture that comes out is worth noting.
Okay.
There is, I don't want to show it to you while you're driving.
Sure. Should I pull over?
Yeah, you know what? That might be a good idea.
I can do that.
So basically what we're looking at, it goes off, and there is a picture. I'll show it to you real fast. See right there? It's a photo of a little boy looking out from a doorway.
Ooh, I hate that.
Oh, Jesus.
That's super scary.
It's now. It's the Didio claims that there was no little boy there. It's almost not that spooky in of itself, aside from like the infrared camera like really blowing out the eyes, because it does just look like a picture of a little boy.
Yeah. Well, which almost makes it worse.
Right.
Yeah.
If
there was.
This really is the picture that
right,
you know?
And not just a picture of a child by his
right.
stair.
What I do not know is what was the access to the house.
Right.
Would you really put it up against Banana Peel Ed Warren?
Yeah.
Like,
old Ed Banana Peel Warren.
Like, all right, we'll go in, we'll take another fucking picture. Oh man, look at this!
Yeah. We'll pay some neighborhood kid.
Right. That said, if this picture really is what they say it is, that would convince me.
Yeah, it's
like
very scary.
If I took that picture on my phone of nothing and there was just unequivocally a little boy in the doorway, I'd be like, okay, well, ghosts are real. Oh man, I have a question. In this little strip mall here,
okay,
I believe This is where the bar that DeFeo went to.
What are you talking about? The B&B Fish and Clam?
It does not exist anymore. It's I forget the name of the real bar. It was called like the Witch's Brew in the movie.
Wow, of course it was.
But I believe this is the building. That's crazy.
Wow.
I don't know for sure, but I did read that it was right around the fucking corner. In a strip mall.
That makes sense.
Okay, so ultimately, DiDio and her producer that night claimed they didn't get it. Anything truly, unquestionably definitive. They were hoping the segment would be The Exorcist for television, and they didn't end up with that.
Of course.
But DiDio, I think, overall is a believer in the incident.
Why? Just because the vibes and the...
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
But she seemed to approach it from like, I believe it, but I can't say for sure that it happened.
Sure.
So we're hitting the end here, kind of the story. Jay Ansom's book is a huge bestseller. The 1979 movie is a massive hit, even if it's critically panned. Let's see. There have been 16 subsequent Amityville films. Most of them are cheap cash-ins that just throw the name like Amityville on it.
Yeah.
Let's see. George Lutz. George Lutz. Ansom, the guy who wrote the book. He says he didn't necessarily believe it. His goal was to write a spooky book.
Okay, interesting.
George Lutz says the book definitely takes leaps, but it is the closest and most accurate account. He says that the movie takes license, for sure, but it is a documentary compared to the 2005 film with Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
He actually ended up suing over that movie, though I doubt that had much traction.
Got it. So do they, in the book, do they go into what happened on that final day?
I read it last Halloween. Emily and I did the audiobook. It's a lot of door slamming and running, you know?
Sure.
Not a full, interesting account that I can really remember.
Okay.
Also on the like who kind of believes it, who buys it. James Brolin and Margot Kidder, who are starred in the original film as George and Kathy Lutz, didn't really believe it. James Brolin said that talking to Lutz, he's an incredible salesman, could sell you sand in the desert.
Yeah.
And when you watch interviews with George Lutz, there is this element of, I believe you, man, you know?
Right.
You kind of just want to believe him.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it's hard for me to believe that a family would be motivated to leave a house and all of their belongings within 28 days. And we just passed by. This is a beautiful place to live.
Beautiful house.
Beautiful house, beautiful place to live, really idyllic. I find it hard to believe that a family would just pick up and leave after 28 days solely for the hope that they would get some publicity out of it, which they don't really seem to have capitalized on too much. Have they made a lot of money from the movies, you think?
I don't know how much they made, but like it was a huge, massive success.
Got it.
Like that book sold 5 million copies.
Okay.
That movie was #1 at the bottom, like was the highest grosser of the year.
And the way the rights work, they get a piece of that.
Yes. Later films don't mention the Lutzes because like there were some rights fallouts.
Got it.
But they got a very decent payday.
Okay.
Just to wrap up, and then I would like to see if you guys are game for an experiment.
Oh boy.
You can say no.
Okay.
But let's see. 1970s, we're kind of in an economic depression, or at least a downturn.
Yeah.
The Exorcist, the movie, has come out, and book have come out semi-recently and have been very, very popular. a growing anxiety around religion, or like the youth's lack thereof, the satanic panic, all lead to like a petri dish of a climate where something like the Amityville Horror can take national attention, you know?
Okay.
It is like, I don't know what happened, but it is notable that like America was primed to be like, there is a real goddamn haunted house on Long Island.
Sure.
If like, I don't know if it happened now, if it would be as like fucking, it'd be maybe a TikTok story that went viral.
Got it.
So it's hard to get a definitive breakdown of what exactly happened. Like I said, Let's says the book is the most accurate, and everything kind of goes downhill from there. The 4 following owners of the home have all reported nothing strange has happened. In 1970, I mentioned as we passed by the house, in 1987, the house's address was changed and the iconic top floor windows were changed basically to prevent exactly what we're doing tonight.
Can't fool us.
Can't fool us. We got Google.
That's right.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. I think it's a pretty spooky story. I think no matter what, like I said, I do think it's an important piece of American folklore.
I think it's a super spooky story. I mean, if nothing else, what's interesting is the initial murder, which I feel like does not get as much play, is actually spookier to me than the
It's weird and it's spooky.
Amityville Horror thing.
So we're taking a turn. I believe we're kind of looping around.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to turn on the ghost box while we're past the Amityville house?
Sure.
Jamie, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get anything. In fact, I kind of doubt it. But hey, let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Let me just route us there again.
And then we'll see what happens there. We'll see if any of the spirits of Amityville maybe want to speak to us, and then maybe we'll call it a night.
Yeah, that works for me.
Ghost box.
That's my ghost box turning on.
FM.
Turning the volume down so that it just, let's see here, we'll bump up the scanning to 4, and I'll be ready. I'll turn it on when we're, or I'm going to start scanning now.
Yeah, we're about a minute away.
Great. And then I'll just turn up the volume, and then we'll see if we get anything.
It's literally right there.
Oh, shit. Okay. Does anyone want to speak to us? Spirits of the Amityville house. I didn't get much there. I've heard one stark word.
Hold.
Hold.
Yeah.
Hold.
I definitely heard hold.
Yeah.
And then there was a big burst of static.
Very aggressive burst of static.
Yeah. I'm gonna just do one
Let's
more
do
loop.
one more loop, and then we'll take off from here.
Yeah. Get out of here. Let's do it.
All right. We're passing by again. You said hold. We're coming back around. We're not going to stop because we are afraid.
Yeah.
Hello. We're coming up on it now. Is anyone there? I heard moon.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah, I heard move too.
Move.
Very authoritative too.
All right. Well,
Not
we're
clear.
doing just that.
Yeah, we're getting out of here for sure.
We'll take that, and hopefully we didn't stir anything up for the family that lives there. Hopefully they have a nice, good night. Any final thoughts on the Amityville Horror House?
Jamie, you got anything?
I think there's definitely something there.
Yeah, you think so? You're leaning on, yeah?
Yeah.
Eric, what about you? Where do you think? Where do you land on it?
It's weird. I think I'm inclined to think first of all, the initial murder is incredibly strange.
Yes, that bugs me out more than anything.
Exactly. Just everything you said. Everybody's in their bed. No neighbor hears any sounds. His story about it. I mean, people make up stories like that to plead insanity or to do, there's legal reasons to concoct tales like that, but the circumstances of the murders, the fact that the next family has knowledge of these crimes that they shouldn't have, the fact that they're compelled to leave. Lost. The fact that I literally thought that was like a disgruntled neighbor who was.
I also thought maybe that was the case.
Yeah, well, let's put the right GPS in.
Somebody did take a couple of specific turns that we took.
Yeah, exactly. Old Eric French connection. All right, so okay, cool. So we're routing back to Brooklyn now.
Great.
Yeah, and just the fact that they were compelled to leave so quickly suggests to me that something. I mean, that's the alternative, the skeptical explanation that they were intentionally planning to just move into this house where a murder took place, quickly move out, just to stage some kind of publicity campaign.
Right.
Feels like a stretch. That feels like a big. That feels like kind of a stretch to me. So I don't know.
What is this car doing? This car's turning around.
Are they? Great.
Yeah. Let's just get back on the highway, baby.
Exactly. They're probably doing the same thing we're doing. They're probably also just recording a podcast.
I hope so.
I hope so too. That's all right.
Man, that bugged me out a little bit.
What, that car? Yeah. We're on high alert right now.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the maybe there's something. Maybe there's something. Maybe not much of something. Maybe not all of the somethings that have been.
Would you recommend the book?
No.
Yeah, okay.
It was a fun, quick, like my wife and I listened to the audiobook on a road trip in October, and that was fun. It was fun for that.
Sure.
And if you're in that and if you're curious, why not?
Yeah.
But no, it's not great literature. It's a pretty trashy book.
That's what That's what kind of bums me out. There's very few written accounts of this stuff that are just super compelling and great reads,
Sure,
it's always it's always like you said, they're always kind of short, and it's always like doors slamming or weird stuff happening, and you kind of get to the end, and it's sort of this inconclusive, kind of strangely unsatisfying thing, and I don't know what I'm looking for.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, man. So that's the Amityville Horror.
Wow.
Should we get out of here?
I think let's get out of here.
All right. Wow, Eric, what a spooky time that was.
That was a very surprisingly spooky time. I have to say, I mean, I think the magic of it for me and this show was that, and we might even have said this, but just that we went on an adventure on a Friday night to see a thing that we would have never done before.
Yeah. So fun.
I was kind of expecting really nothing. I kind of was like, hey, we're going to just drive by this house. It's got some history. It's kind of cool. We've all seen the movie, but I didn't expect anything to happen.
No. And I'll say,
sorry, go ahead.
I threw the ghost box in my bag, I don't know, maybe, and then as we were hitting a corner, I was like, let's bring it out. Why not?
Yeah. I forgot about it. I forgot that you had even brought it.
Yeah. So it's, man, so I've listened to it back. Mm-hmm. At the time of recording this, I've heard it back. You have not.
I have not.
Is
it weird?
I'll say this. It felt spookier at the time.
Sure.
Than it maybe plays back. The audio doesn't quite capture the, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, when we were there, well, here's what's weird about the quote unquote ghost box we have, and not to get into too much of how the sausage is made, but I feel like that's sort of interesting. It's basically just a radio scanner,
which is all a ghost box is.
Yeah, which is all ghost box is. And the couple of other times we used it, and we've used it in some other situations. I think we used it in the cemetery field trip episode and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it just sort of felt like, oh, this is just clearly scanning the radio. This is mostly static. There's nothing. When we used it outside of the house, there were two very clear commands.
Mm-hmm. Very clear.
In a masculine voice, which is weird because it was the same voice, but the way the ghost box functions is it's rapidly going through different channels in a linear way. Right. So it's just going up the band, basically. Right. And so we got these back-to-back commands as we were driving, and it was and we all heard it, and we all heard the same thing in the car.
It was weird. It was fucking weird.
It was strange. It was definitely strange.
So, and man, just a weird, bad vibe.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting, we definitely were, Jamie was the one to finally point this out. We were driving past a residential neighborhood 6 times.
Yeah, we were just doing loops around the block.
Between basically midnight and 1 a.m. Even though, like, we made an effort, like, we truly did not want to bother anybody. That was, like, truly not the goal.
Yeah, when we were riding in, you made a point of talking about how, let's try to be respectful here. We are going into a neighborhood. Let's not loiter around. Not that we were going to loiter around the house or trespass, but we just didn't want to freak anybody out. You're cruising slow by a house at midnight anyway. Right. That's gonna
for sure. Somebody super followed us to the highway.
Yeah, they did.
Somebody picked us up. Somebody like started following us as like we'd take a turn. They'd take a turn. Yeah. We thought we lost him for a second. We come out, we turn out of a way. I saw the guy just do a K-turn and follow us again.
Oh, really? I didn't even realize that.
Yep. I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah. Wow. And followed us all the way until we got to the highway.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I sort of wonder in retrospect, I wonder if maybe there's some private security around there or something because it is such a tourist destination in a way. I mean, it's not a tourist destination. Don't get me wrong. There's no, like Holiday Inn there or anything, but I feel like it's a well-known location.
Right.
And I'm sure it might attract some strange people. So it kind of wouldn't surprise me if there's maybe someone who patrols.
That's a little, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Either way,
it's worth noting nothing happened. We got to the highway and
right. Absolutely. And like, it's had any sort of confrontation occurred. We're just doing our podcast. We're sorry.
Yeah.
We would have immediately buckled and showed our bellies.
Yeah. Just a man stamps on our ghost box with his steel-toed boot. Dang, the third one this week.
So we get home that night, and I have a weird night.
Before you get into that, I do want to comment on something that both Jamie and I felt, which was actually, I didn't think it was strange at the time, but now looking back on it, a little weird. On the ride home, literally, and it wasn't that late. It was maybe 1 a.m. or something. And I was very awake, even till when we got to your house. On the ride home, we just could not keep our eyes open.
Really?
We were suddenly just exhausted.
Really?
And it's not a super far drive from your spot to my house.
No.
Maybe 30, 40 minutes. It was to the point where Jamie didn't have her glasses, so she could not see. She wasn't capable of driving and taking the wheel, but she was falling asleep also anyway. And I literally couldn't keep my eyes open. It was crazy to the point where we almost pulled over. I was almost like, hey, maybe we should take a nap or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We were turning down. We finally got back to my neighborhood and we're making a left turn. And I literally fell asleep in the middle of the turn it was okay. I was going like 5 miles an hour in a super quiet neighborhood. It wasn't on the highway. It wasn't dangerous, but I was that tired that it just hit us like a brick wall, man. It was very strange.
That's fucking bananas.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry. Yeah.
So while you're doing that, I get home. And I go back, I listen to some of the audio. I start doing like a little perfunctory editing. My dog and my cat, who are normally pretty like chill at night, my dog's always a mess, but at night, like usually once they're kind of like settled in, they're pretty settled in, both very upset. Or maybe
Yeah, what were
upset.
they doing? What kind of stuff were they doing?
So my cat was just kind of running around and meowing, which is not entirely out of the picture, but like usually not that late at night. My dog was like very constantly like a little like worried. Like he would when I went to bed, he would like kind of get up into the bed and start whimpering, or looking out kind of either out the window or into the hall and like sort of whimpering, not quite growling.
And that's pretty uncharacteristic for him, right?
It's pretty. I would say pretty. It was. I was putting like it was weird. It was just weird. It was just.
Were you freaked out when this was happening?
Of course, yeah. The whole like thing was spooky with the ghost box. It was all in my head.
Right.
So like, of course, I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
4 a.m. 4 a.m. There was a loud crash from my little dining room, game room area that we have that's exactly adjacent to our bedroom. There was a loud crash at 4 a.m. Couldn't find any source for it. No idea what, where. No idea. And then let's see, just last night. So that was Friday night. No incidences Saturday, Sunday. Monday night, I am alone in my apartment. My closet door opened on its fucking own, dude.
Whoa. In your where? In your bedroom?
My bedroom. I'm on my bed. I'm on my computer. The door is closed. The door opens. Bugs me out, man.
How open is it? Just kind of like the latch comes undone, or it's just a full wide swing open?
So you know, it's like it was a full. It wasn't like a forceful open, but like it gently drifted open. Now here's the thing. What's that?
That almost sounds worse.
So here is what I want to talk about, though. You know, we drove past the house. We had the spooky ghost box incident. We got followed by somebody, which sent my like anxiety into really like
I
high
definitely
gear.
got that. Definitely, I was feeling a little adrenaline. From that, for sure.
Absolutely. Just like, are we gonna have to explain this to somebody?
We were definitely followed, right? That was 100% someone following us. Okay.
100. It was like really like I was like, maybe are they? Until I watched them K-turn and like continue to follow us. You know?
Yeah, that's weird. And then what happened when we got onto because again, I was tracking them when they were behind us in the neighborhood, but I missed that they were behind us in that more main road. And then we just got on the highway and
we got on the highway. They kept going.
Got it.
But so like just that was running up the adrenaline and anxiety, and like it's also like I think there's an element of is my dog never weird? No.
Yeah, of course.
No, he's a fucking weird asshole dog.
Yeah.
You know, my apartment, there's all kinds of weird noises all the time in my apartment. Totally. Even that closet door, the latch is a little loose. And can I 100% swear my very dark cat didn't like wander in and out of it while I was sitting in the dark?
Right.
No, I can't say any of that for sure.
Yeah.
But when, you know, perception just is your reality. And like when this spooky thing is living in your brain, of course you're associating things with the spooky thing that happened.
100%. Well, so this is a weird one other thing. I think I told you this over text, but Jamie and I were getting an Uber back from a cafe. And we get in the Uber and the guy's kind of weird. And it's also a weird Uber because it's a pickup truck, which is strange. I don't think I've
never had that happen before.
That's a pickup truck? Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're out in the burbs, but
sure.
And the guy's kind of weird. And he seems maybe like he's high or something. I mean, no big deal. He was driving fine, but he's just giving us weird clipped answers, but also really sort of intensely curious about us. And my hackles were a little up. You ever get in an Uber and it's not like you think
It's
something
happened before, yeah.
about to happen, but you're just like, this is a little off, and I'm in someone else's car. Let's just see how this goes. And he was talking about the area, and he's like, oh, this is a nice area. You guys grew up around here or whatever. And I kind of wanted to redirect it back to him because I just didn't want to give that much personal information to him. I was like, yeah, are you from around here? Where'd you grow up? And he's like, oh, I'm from Amityville. And he just like makes eye contact in the rearview mirror. And I was like, And me and Jamie kind of look at each other, and we just drive, and he drives us home, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. It was totally fine. Pleasant ride. But it's just very strange. There's nothing, that's not supernatural in and of itself. There's people from Amityville who drive Uber, and they're all over, the area.
Right.
But I'm pretty far away. I'm like an hour away from Amityville. I've never had a driver from Amityville ever.
Right.
And it's just weird that 2 days later, and what does that mean? I have no idea. It's just, it's a synchronicity kind of. It's a weird coincidence, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting how, we talk about on the show, like you said, kids would go past the Amityville Horror House all the time. It's always, they change the address and they change the windows to prevent people from fucking doing exactly what we were doing. So we would have to hit some sort of like wild supernatural roulette wheel for anything to kind of track with us.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if there is some entity there, some spiritual presence, the amount of people that it would theoretically be glomming onto.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Your perception is everything. Your perception is your reality. And of course you associate things with things. And part of me does wonder, kind of what we had talked about with the haunting in Connecticut last week, and with the Lutzes, and like, I believe that maybe they were frightened by something.
Yeah.
Even if, their head went places and put things together. I do believe, I don't think I believe in either family it was fully 100% a hoax. I think maybe both families were frightened by something, even if their brains were doing
if it was a weird collective belief that
kind of manifests in a weird way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about us, we're sort of encapsulated, the trio of us in this car, all fixated and focused on one scary thing, and then you kind of carry that with you, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
And whether that's an external entity or your own mind, or
I absolutely. And I like the way you said manifest. Next week, we have an interesting topic next week. And that's kind of going to deal with that a little bit, right?
Oh, it's right on point for this. It deals with this directly, actually.
I'm so excited to get into it. But you and I, little how the sausage is made, you and I are going to talk about it right now. Everyone else is going to have to wait till next week to hear it.
That's right.
I think you're going to enjoy it. Eric, any other thoughts, any other wrap-up thoughts on the Amityville Horror before we get out of here for the week?
I'll say one thing. I don't know if this made it into the recording, but it's also worth noting. And these things, I think, in the moment, sometimes feel the most powerful, but are maybe the least impressive to hear. But I do remember, too, after we were driving away, we all kind of looked at each other and were sort of like, it kind of feels like something is following us.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't mean the car.
Yeah.
It felt we all had a strange feeling leaving that place.
Yeah. It was weird, man.
It was weird.
I won't say, you drove past Amity, the Amityville Horror House. Did anything happen? No, but it wasn't not weird.
Exactly.
It wasn't not weird.
100%.
Eric, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
That's going to wrap up this broadcast for the night. We want to thank Purple Planet and Carl Kasey and White Bat Audio for the use of their music. Do you want to get in touch with us? Follow us on Twitter at Brian and Eric Pod, and find everything else at briananderic.show. For both of us here at Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here, thank you for listening, and stay safe out there.